Hey, Leaving a Legacy family, it's me, Jill, your Leaving a Legacy realtor and realtist. Now, for today, we're going to be talking about contingencies. I just want to take a minute to give you an overview of there's several different types of contingencies, and not removing a contingency in a timely manner can make or break the deal. So I want you to have a good understanding of what contingencies are. There are three types of contingencies. A contingency uh, clause can be written for nearly or any need or concern. But here are the three most common contingencies included in today's home purchase contracts. One, we have the inspection contingency. This is the first contingency that we'll remove, and we have to remove this contingency within 7 to 10 business days. An inspection contingency, also called a due diligence contingency, because we are actually bringing in a home inspector who's going to inspect your home and make sure that everything is working, and what isn't working is listed. It gives the buyer the right to have the home inspected within a specific a specified time period, which is generally, like I said, 7 to 10 days. Generally no more than 14 days. It just depends on what type of deal we're doing and how good of a deal we want ours to look. Usually we go tight with the home inspection, like 7 to 10, it gets us in and it gets us looked at and it shows we're serious. So such as 5 to 7 days, again, like I said, I'd like to do no more than I do 7 to 10 days, and the standard is 14 days. It protects the buyer it protects the buyer who can cancel the contract or negotiate repairs based on the findings of the professional home inspector. So an inspector examines the property, interior and exterior, including the condition of the electrical, the finish, the plumbing, the structural, and ventilation elements. He will go and write up his report. You will get a copy, I will get a copy, and then we will talk about, at that point, after looking at the inspection, what type of request for repairs that we want to have done. So that's why it's very important for us to get it done as quick as we can, get it back, look at it, and then we'll be submitting for a request for repairs. The inspector furnishes that report again to you and me. So I'm not the only one who gets your reports. These reports belong to you. These are your reports. And again, as I mentioned in one of my very first videos, it is important to read your reports. That's your job, really. That's not my job. That's your job. Because when I come and I say, okay, what things do we kind of want to ask for requests for repairs, and you haven't looked at the report, then we're not going to know what we're going to discuss. You'll also be at that inspection. Also, you'll be at the home inspection. Okay, so we want to approve the report, and then the deal moves forward. If we disapprove of the report, or you decide to back out of the deal because there's all of the there's just too much work that needs to be done, possibly, then your earnest money will be refunded. Also, we can request time for further inspection if something needs a second look. So let's just say the home inspector calls out termites. He may or may not have termite specific experience. And he may say, hey, Jill, you know what? You need to get a termite guy out here to look at this. I think this, might be something you guys want to look at further. They generally put all of that in the report, okay? Request for repairs or a concession. If the seller agrees to our request for repairs, I usually negotiate for them to pay for the request for the repairs, to have them done. The deal will move forward. If the seller refuses, the buyer can back out of the deal and have their earnest money returned, or you can go ahead and pay for those repairs, and we can put it into the loan. Next, the appraisal contingency. An appraisal contingency protects the buyer, and it is used to ensure a property is valued at a minimum specified amount. If the property does not appraise for what at least we're offering for the purchase, if it doesn't appraise at the purchase amount, the contract can be terminated. And in many cases, the earnest money deposit is refunded to the buyer, especially if we never want to overbid so high that we don't know that it's going to appraise. So my job is I look at the comps in the area of the houses that have sold. The selling agent has also already done that, and pretty much she can guarantee. So say we saw a house and it's being sold for 450, but we really want that house, so we're going to bid maybe 460,000. So its purchase price is 450. Then we want to bid maybe 460,000. It's a really nice house. You really like it. You really want it. We want to be competitive. My job is to go and to look in the area, look at the comps that sold to be sure that that property can appraise for the $460,000 that we're going to be bidding on. Otherwise, you'll have to put that additional $10,000 down to make sure that we're only bringing the house up to the 450,000 mark for your loan. So it will have to appraise at that amount for your loan. Okay. Next, we have the financing, and that's the second contingency. Now we have the financing or the loan contingency. A financing or loan contingency, also called the mortgage contingency, gives the buyer the time to apply for and obtain pricing for the purchase of the property. This provides important protection for the buyer, who can back out of the contract and reclaim their earnest money in the event you are unable to secure financing from a bank, a mortgage broker, or another type of lender. So that's the last thing the last contingency that we remove. Now, sometimes you'll hear, I'll get information from my broker and he said, we're going to remove all the contingencies in one day. The loan looks really good. We know we're going to clear the loan. The inspection looked good. We got our request for repairs in, and then the appraisal has come through. And so depending on what the flow is of how well we're doing with all of our inspections, then we may come back and we say we're going to remove all the contingencies on one day instead of doing the inspection contingency 7 to 10 days, and then coming and doing the appraisal contingency at 14 days, which will be due 4 days after the inspection, and then coming and doing the financing last, which is 22 instead of doing the financing last, which we would do probably at 21 days. We could just remove them all in one day, make it a really tight package, and say, well, we're going to remove all of the contingencies within 15 days. And people go, oh, they're really serious. They got their stuff together. So that's how the contingencies have to be removed timely. And there are times when you can lose your earnest money deposit if you back out of a deal. And so I will talk about that more, but generally, once we have all of the contingencies removed, if you back out of the deal and we remove the contingencies and we said, okay, we want to move forward, and then you come back and you say, oh, well, I changed my mind, you will lose your earnest money deposit. So removing the contingencies is really important. A financial contingency will state a special number of days that the buyer is given to obtain financing. So that's a part of what my loan team does for you. And the buyer has until the date to terminate the contract or request an extension that must be agreed to in writing by the seller. Otherwise, the buyer automatically waives the contingency and becomes obligated to purchase the property, even if a loan is not secured. So I'm going to read that again. A financial contingency will state a specified number of days the buyer is given to obtain a loan, right? So we want to make sure you get your financing in order. We want to make sure your loan is taken care of. That's my side. That's my loan. If you're doing your loan with me, that's our side. My broker has this down. The buyer has until the date to terminate. So you have the date that we said we're going to remove the contingency to terminate the contract, or we can request an extension. I've done that many times too, because we weren't quite ready to have the contingency removed. The lender needed something and the buyer had to get it back to him. And so it kind of held things up, but we just request an extension that must be agreed upon in writing. And so that's my loan team and my transaction coordinator. They will write up that extension and you will sign it, and so will the seller. Otherwise, the buyer automatically waives the contingency and becomes obligated to purchase the property, even if a loan is not secured. I have not had that happen to me yet. But again, if everything goes through and we're moving forward and you don't say, hey, Jill, I don't feel good about this. I don't want to do this. And that contingency date comes up for your loan to be contingency, the final contingency to be removed. And you have not expressed to me that you want to back out the deal. And that day goes by and you decide you want to back out, you will lose your earnest money deposit, or you will be obligated to purchase the property and you can't just walk away. Okay, so that's that part. So anyway, that's what I have for contingencies. Again, read the email. This information is in writing in an email along with this video that is attached in the email so that you can read it for yourself. Because I don't want you to say, well, Jill, you never told me that. Again, call me if you have questions. I'm always here for questions, but please read first, watch the video, right? Read first, watch the video, and then we'll come together and all our there's another book, there's a book that I read that says, in all you're getting, get understanding. And that's what we'll do. So just know that I'm so excited for you. I want to thank you again for working with me, choosing me for all of your real estate needs and loan needs. And this is an exciting time. And I look forward to seeing you now. You be good now, you hear? And I'll talk to you real soon. Have a blessed day.